Hezbollah launched hundreds of rockets and drones at Israel early on Sunday, as Israel's military said it struck Lebanon with around 100 jets to thwart a bigger attack. The exchange is one of the biggest clashes in more than 10 months of border warfare. Missiles could be seen in the dawn sky as an air raid siren sounded in Israel and a distant blast lit the horizon. Israeli strikes could also be seen raining down on southern Lebanese towns. The Iran-backed Lebanese group Hezbollah said it had fired 320 Katyusha rockets towards Israel and hit 11 military targets. It added it was the first phase of its retaliation for Israel's assassination of Fouad Shukra, a senior commander, last month. At least 3 deaths were confirmed in Lebanon. Israeli military said 1 Navy soldier had been killed and 2 were wounded in combat in northern Israel. Israel's military said it had foiled a much larger attack with preemptive airstrikes after assessing that Hezbollah was preparing to launch the barrage. Hezbollah dismissed Israel's statement, saying it had been able to launch its drones as planned. It indicated it was not planning further strikes yet and said that the rest of its response to Shukra's killing would take, quotes, some time. Any major escalation in the fighting, which began in parallel with the war in Gaza, risks morphing into a regional conflagration, drawing in Hezbollah's backer Iran and Israel's main ally, the United States. Israel's foreign minister said the country did not seek a full-scale war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke in a statement on Sunday.
We are determined to do everything possible to protect our country, to return the residents of the North safely to their homes, and to continue to uphold a simple rule: whoever harms us, we harm him.
Sunday's strikes came as negotiators were again meeting in Cairo in a last-ditch effort to conclude a halt to the fighting in Gaza. The White House said President Joe Biden was following events in the region closely.
$540 million. That's how much U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has raised in a little over a month since she launched her bid for the White House, according to her campaign. A memo released by Harris campaign manager Jen O'Malley Dillon said that the top-line figure included an $82 million surge that came in last week during the Democratic National Convention.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
Vice President Harris became a candidate for president on July 21st when President Joe Biden stepped aside.
I revere this office, but I love my country more.
And now we have somebody that, in theory, should be easier to beat, in theory.
Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has struggled to regain media attention and momentum since the Democratic Party swapped candidates. Alan Lichtman is a professor of history at American University.
He seemed much more comfortable campaigning against Biden, and he really hasn't been able to find an effective line of attack against Harris. He's tried a lot of things, mispronouncing her name, developing nicknames.
I call her Laughing Kamala.
Claiming she's not really black, but none of it's worked. It's just made Trump look kind of desperate and reaching.
I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
Right now, Trump needs a reset button, I would say, more than Harris.
Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, take their campaign for the White House on a bus tour through Georgia next week, looking to build support in a state looming large in the November 5th election. Polls show a close race between Harris and Trump, with Georgia among 7 states likely to determine the outcome.
Founder and CEO of the Telegram messaging app Pavel Durov was reportedly arrested in France on Saturday. French media citing unnamed sources say he was arrested at Bourget Airport outside Paris. Durov was reportedly traveling aboard his private jet. According to TV news network TF1, he was targeted by an arrest warrant in France as part of a preliminary police investigation. News outlets TF1 and BFM both said the investigation was focused on the lack of moderators on Telegram. Police apparently said that allowed criminal activity to go on undeterred on the messaging app. Reuters did not get a response for comment from Telegram, nor the French Interior Ministry and police. Russian-born Durov founded Telegram with his brother in 2013. With close to 1 billion users, Telegram is influential in Russia, Ukraine, and the republics of the former Soviet Union. Its increasing popularity, however, has prompted scrutiny from several countries in Europe, including France, on security and data breach concerns. And since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Telegram has become the main source of unfiltered and sometimes graphic and misleading content from both sides about the war. Durov, who Forbes estimates has a fortune worth $15.5 billion, said some governments have sought to pressure him, but the app should remain a neutral platform and not a player in geopolitics. Russia began blocking Telegram in 2018 after the app refused to comply with a court order to grant state security services access to its users' encrypted messages. Telegram, which allows users to evade official scrutiny, has also become one of the few places where Russians can access independent news about the war, after the Kremlin increased curbs on independent media.
Villagers in Bangladesh waded through deep water on Sunday to get to safer ground, as severe flooding triggered by relentless monsoon rains continue to inundate parts of the country. Officials say dozens of people have died and more than 5.2 million have been affected. Farmer Abdul Halim is one of them. He and his family fled their mud house days ago when a 10-foot-high wave plowed through their village. On Sunday, Halim returned alone to see what he could salvage.
The water receded for a while, but it is increasing again. It is now becoming a major headache. Where will we get food? Where will we stay? It is a big problem.
He says he ate some rice 2 days ago and has barely eaten since. Many of the displaced have no food, clean water, medicine, or dry clothes. Halim says there's been little relief, especially for those in more remote villages. Authorities say as of Sunday, more than 400,000 people from 11 flood-hit districts have taken refuge in around 3,500 shelters. They say medical teams and the military are assisting in rescue operations, but blocked roads have hampered their efforts. The Bangladesh Meteorological Department has warned that flood conditions could persist if the monsoon rains continue, as water levels are receding very slowly.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw a test of homegrown so-called suicide drones over the weekend. That's according to state media on Monday, which released these images said to show Kim inspecting the drones on Saturday at North Korea's Drone Institute and looking on as they took off and destroyed test targets, including a mock tank. Also known as loitering munitions, they attack by crashing into the target with a built-in warhead. Such weapons have been widely used in the war in Ukraine as well as in the Middle East. The report said Kim urged researchers to develop artificial intelligence for the unmanned vehicles and called to ramp up production of suicide drones, including those that can be used underwater, as well as reconnaissance and multi-purpose attack drones. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said on Monday they were monitoring North Korea's military activities and were prepared for any provocations. When asked about visual similarities between some of the drones in the images from Kim's Saturday visit and those used and produced by Russia, a spokesperson said more analysis was necessary.
A suspect in German custody after a stabbing rampage in the city of Zulingen arrived at the federal prosecutor's office in the city of Karlsruhe on Sunday. The attack occurred during a festival on Friday, killing 3 people and injuring 8. The suspect, who is a 26-year-old Syrian man, turned himself in and admitted to the crime, authorities said. Police said the case is under, quote, intensive investigation and that they are looking into his possible links with Islamic State. They searched garbage bins and backyards for more evidence at the market square where the fatal stabbing took place. Islamic State described the man taken into custody as a, quote, soldier of the group, but it did not provide any evidence for this assertion. The incident, which officials described as, quote, an act of terror, shocked the city of Solingen. Mourners gathered for a church memorial and paid tribute to the victims. Herbert Reul, North Rhine-Westphalia's interior minister, said the suspect came from a home for refugees that was searched on Saturday. The suspect had moved to Germany late in 2022 and sought asylum, according to German media, citing unidentified security sources. Center-right politician Friedrich Merz urged the country to stop admitting further refugees from Syria and Afghanistan. Germany's federal criminal police said there have been around a dozen Islamist-motivated attacks since 2000. One of the biggest was in 2016 when a Tunisian drove a truck into a Christmas market in Berlin, killing 12 and injuring dozens.